Hello, welcome to HITC Sport. Right, let's take a look at every Premier League club and find one player who will not play a single minute of league football for their club this season. Not a single second. Alright, let's go. Arsenal and Matt Macey. Okay, with Emiliano Martinez about to be chucked out to Aston Villa, it will mean Matt Macey will briefly rise up the pecking order to become Arsenal's second choice goalkeeper. You know, the 26-year-old has been at the club since 2013, never played a single game, and instead just spent his time on loan at Accrington Stanley, Luton Town and Plymouth. Even if Leno breaks his foot tomorrow, Mikel Arteta would probably rather shove his mother in goal. Anything but Matt Macey. Aston Villa Tom Heaton. Poor old Tom Heaton. Injuries have literally destroyed this man's career. 3 years ago, this guy was Burnley's undisputed #1 getting picked for every England squad. Injuries was what allowed Nick Pope to steal his place before forcing him out to Aston Villa. And now, surprise, surprise, the £8 million signing is still out with an injury. Dean Smith will plug the gap with a £20 million move for Emiliano Martinez from Arsenal, forcing Heaton to see his Euro 2021 chances strangled in the toilet. Honestly, lads, Heaton is not going to breathe even a single minute of Premier League football this season. Not a chance. Brighton Christian Walton. Okay, last season I said that Dan Burn wouldn't play a single second of Premier League football. Then he played 34 games that year. He only missed 4 games of football. What a ridiculous prediction. But lads, I'm not getting this one wrong. I can't. Christian Walton is a 24-year-old goalie who's been at Brighton since 2013 and played just 3 games. He's been coughed out on 7 loan deals, and yes, last season with Blackburn was probably the best of his career. But honestly, if he dislodges Matt Ryan for even 1 game this season, I'll happily drink a pint of toilet water. Burnley Jimmy Dunn. Okay lads, this fella's from Dundalk and he's another potential Irish defender. I would love if Jimmy Dunn got some Premier League minutes this season, but it's not gonna happen. This Man United reject centre half is 22 years old. He was signed by Burnley 3 years ago and hasn't even been given a sniff of a match. Instead, it's been loans to Barrow, Accrington Stanley, Hart, Sunderland and Fleetwood Town. It's clear Sean Dyche would sooner chuck his wife into the Burnley defence than poor old Jimmy Dunn. Chelsea Fikayo Tomori. Okay, by the time this video goes out, Fikayo Tomori could already be gone. Sure, this time last year, Frank Lampard probably fell asleep in the tub dreaming about this man. He'd stormed the championship on loan at Derby County, started like a house on fire for Chelsea in the Premier League, even scored a long-range screamer against Wolves. But now, after a series of defensive clangers, Lampard probably trusts him as much as a broken sink. Tomori has already seen his number 29 shirt ripped off his back and handed to Kai Havertz, which reminds me of when William Gallas had his number given to Michael Ballack behind his back. For Gallas, that probably felt like being slapped on the face with a wet banana. Tomori will be booted out on a season-long loan to Everton, so yeah, no Chelsea minutes this season. Crystal Palace Connor Wickham. Okay, apparently Connor Wickham is absent, but is he injured? Because look at that, unknown. Yeah, damn right unknown. Wickham probably can't be bothered to even turn up anymore. Is he even still a footballer? He's honestly one of the biggest letdowns of English football, because as a 16-year-old he had the likes of Tottenham interested in him. It was him, not Harry Kane, who was supposed to be England's next great hope. And now at 27 years of age, with Crystal Palace screaming out for a centre forward, to the extent where Roy Hodgson is probably thinking about giving his dead houseplant a go up front, even then Wickham still can't get a look in. He was a £9 million signing in 2015 and has played 20 league games in 4 years, scoring just the once. Honestly lads, if we wind up seeing this guy spat onto the Sellers Park turf for the season, even for a minute, I will personally ring Football Daily and ask for forgiveness. Everton Jonas LOSSL. Yeah, remember when goalkeeper Jonas LOSSL was staring headfirst at relegation with Huddersfield Town before giving it the big I am and basically declaring himself bigger than the club and their problems, before signing for not even the Everton bench, Everton's reserves, and having to return to Huddersfield last season on loan with his tail stuck between his legs. Well, he's back at Goodison Park now, and I'm sorry, Jordan Pickford might have his problems, but Carlo Ancelotti probably doesn't even know who LOSSL is. Fulham Jean-Seri. Okay, by the time this video goes out, Jean-Seri could and should be gone. How many big money flops who get sentenced to an embarrassing low move away from the club, how many of them actually returned to force their way back into the manager's plans? Just like Timu Bakayoko at Chelsea, Jean-Seri is so far out in the wilderness of Fulham it's not even funny. He is a walking reminder of the reckless spending which relegated Fulham in 2018, and while his teammates dug in and were fighting for promotion last season, he was just backpacking his way across Western Europe. This is a guy who was once tipped for Barcelona, fought over by Xavi. Now, not even Scott Parker wants him in his team. Good Christ. Leeds Oliver Casey. Okay, there aren't too many players in this current Leeds squad who won't get a game this season. I'll go for local lad Oliver Casey. He's a homegrown centre half, come through the academy, but the 18-year-old has only ever played once for Leeds in his entire life. Do you really think Marcelo Bielsa is going to risk chucking an unproven kid into his backline and arguably the toughest league on planet Earth? No, not a chance. Leicester Danny Ward. Yeah, remember when Liverpool fans were basically punching each other in the face during arguments down the pub about whether or not Danny Ward should have the #1 shirt? I'm not sure whether it just shows how poor Simon Mignolet was, but yeah, the Scousers were desperately trying to convince themselves that Ward was the future. But no, he wasn't. He's 27 years old and has only ever played 2 Premier League games. He's only ever had 1 season of the Championship with Huddersfield. The rest were Conference, League 2 and Scottish football. football, he can very well be a big sack of wet fudge. Sure, he saved a few penalties in a playoff final, but is that literally where all the hype comes from? Anyway, Kasper Schmeichel hasn't missed a Premier League game of football since early 2018, so sorry about that, Ward. Have fun warming the bench. But of course you will, it's all you ever do. Liverpool, Loris Karius. Okay, cover your ears, Liverpool fans, but yes, Loris Karius is currently training with your club. You thought he'd gone forever, banished, expelled to the west corners of the globe, that walking reminder of European failure, the most traumatic night in the club's recent history. But no, he's currently still walking around Melwood. Imagine you're Jordan Henderson, a Premier League winning captain on top of the world, and then you see that sitting in the corner of the canteen, the walking reminder of the worst night of your career. You'd probably feel like fetching up your cornflakes. This guy seems to think he's currently second choice for the Reds. I promise you, Karius, you won't get a single minute on a Premier League pitch this season. Man City's got CARSON, the most obvious one on the list. Yeah, Scott Carson has extended that loan deal from Derby County, clearly deciding at the age of 35, yeah, he's done with actually playing football on a Saturday. Instead, he's just happy to turn up for training, collect his cash before having a virtual season ticket to watch games at the Etihad. But you'd think for a guy closing in on retirement that it would be now he'd want to cram in the games. It just doesn't make sense. Honestly, lads, this guy was not born to play games for Manchester City, just to fill that British quota, and he knows it. I wouldn't be surprised if his diet consists of daily donuts and cans of petrol. He could be hit by a bus tomorrow and it wouldn't affect Man City's season. But if a miracle happens and we see him on a Premier League pitch this season, I will fly to Ireland and lick a horse's face. Man United, Dean Henderson. Okay, don't get me wrong, I rate Dean Henderson, but he might as well have picked up a season-ending injury because he's not getting a look in. David De Gea might be bang out of form, but I'm sorry, is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer brave enough to drop one of the biggest goalkeepers in the world for a guy off the back of a few years at Sheffield United? It would be a big call, but Solskjaer has never dropped the Spaniards, and De Gea hasn't missed a Premier League game in over 2 years and only sat out 9 league games since 2012. Lads, it's not happening. Newcastle, YOSHINORI, MUTO. Okay, I know Newcastle are starved of options up front, and yes, Dwight Gale is out for 2 months, but I'm sorry, I refuse to believe YOSHINORI MUTO will still be at Newcastle in October. Just no, he's a complete and utter £10 million flop. 2 goals in 28 games, 1 Premier League goal in total, and Mike Ashley just spent £30 million in a week, so clearly he's going to want to make that money back before he even realises it's gone, and quickly. MUTO's getting sold, you can smell it. Sheffield United, Jack Rodwell. Well, this is obvious. How is Jack Rodwell still employed at Bramble Lane? What does Chris Wilder get out of it? Whether it's injuries, lack of hunger, I don't know, but something has dragged this guy's potential through the mud. He's currently 29 years old, being a Sheffield United employee for 9 months, and has managed to squeeze out just a 50-minute cameo against Burnley. Clearly Wilder sees him as plan F. He probably only has him in his squad as an emergency in case half his squad come down with food poisoning, but as long as they stay away from undercooked lasagna, I think they'll be alright. Southampton, Angus Gunn. Yeah, another goalie here, but we all know this. Angus Gunn has no chance of playing in the Premier League again. His last game came nearly a year ago when he conceded 9 goals at home. Sure, it's easy to just blame the keeper for something like that, but still, even his presence in goal is a traumatic reminder of that night. Even if Alex McCarthy picks up an injury this season, I'm pretty sure Ralph Hasenhüttl is sooner going to stick his fridge in goal than Angus Gunn. Christ above. Tottenham, Joe Hart. Listen, I would love to see Joe Hart return to form and claw back a few morsels of dignity, having had 4 years from hell, but it's not happening. His rival for the #1 shirt just happens to be a World Cup winner. Hugo Lloris has mistakes in him, sure, but he's not getting dropped for a guy who just spent a year rotting on the Burnley bench. And considering how highly thought of Paulo Gazzaniga is at the club, he might even be 3rd choice. So yeah, a second successive year of failing to make a single Premier League appearance. Quite degrading for a guy with nearly 80 England caps. West Brom, David Button. Again, like Leeds, there aren't too many players in the West Brom squad who won't play this season, but David Button can rest easy that no, he's not being named in the starting lineup anytime soon. He's a 31-year-old goalkeeper who's had a career playing out on loan for the likes of Grays Athletic, Dagenham and Redbridge and Leyton Orient. He did get a look in for Brighton last season. Yeah, he's purely West Brom to make up the numbers. West Ham, Ben Johnson. Okay, as you've seen with the recent treatment of Grady Diangela, West Ham don't care much for youngsters, so bad news for 20-year-old right back Ben Johnson, an academy graduate who's probably going to spend the season trapped in the reserves. Once David Moyes gets the boot in November, it's probably going to take the new manager at least 6 weeks to find out who the hell he is. Wolves, Luke Cundle. Good old 18-year-old Luke Cundle. Last year, I promised you all $5 each if he ever became my manager. Okay, now I'm not going to say anything quite as ludicrous as that when I say he won't play this season, but alright, let's say if he does, I will personally make you all a ham and cheese toasty. Anyway, that's the end of it, lads. Let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.